Hey guys, wanted to bring you another video about the Last Dance documentary, brought to you by ESPN and Netflix. It finally came to a conclusion, 10-part series on this past Sunday. Hopefully, everyone got to watch it. Hopefully, it's not really spoilers because it happened in the past, but there are some things that kind of revealed, and especially with the last couple of days. They did some interviews with some different people and directors and players that talked about it. Some of the biggest takeaways, and it brought back old memory lane with the Chicago Bulls. I still think they're one of the best teams ever. One of the things I thought was kind of interesting was that Michael Jordan thought it should have had the right to run it again for a seventh time. Now, what was kind of interesting is, do we really think that they could have won a seventh championship? I think they could have had one last run with the seventh one. That's only if they could bring all the pieces back together. But then the way they kind of in bold or told the story was that there was no way to bring it back. That's why they kind of called it The Last Dance. They figured Pippen was getting older, which they kind of talked about in the Jazz and the Bulls series where he was hurting his back. His back was pretty beat up. And then Jordan with the flu game. So there was a lot of things. And then if you think about how many extra games they played over the playoffs and over their career and period, that's a couple of seasons added on there. So if you think about it that way, they were kind of getting on their back end. And especially that kind of shows that they went 6-0 in the finals. So if they made it to the finals, would you have wanted to see them to lose that one time? Or they could have taken that risk to be the greatest. Again, adding on to their record 7-0. Or they could have blemished it by going 6-1. Because that is one argument that most people talk about, is that LeBron has been to so many finals but lost it at the finals. And so that's one knock. And same for Kobe, because Kobe lost a couple finals that way too. But, I mean, Jordan had a perfect record. Same with Pippen in the finals. So I think it's kind of hard to say. I mean, the owner had a chance to step in and make that call, but I thought he kind of got off easy in this documentary. That hey, he said that he tried bringing Phil Jackson back, but it was Phil Jackson's call that he didn't want to coach anymore. Which it sounds like he didn't want to coach anymore. Wanted to take that break, and then so that obviously Jordan said he would never want to play for another coach again, which ultimately he did play for someone else for the Wizards. And then for Pippen, they traded him away. They traded Kerr, so they'd start the whole rebuilding. Um, Obviously, the Bulls haven't ever been the same since then, but I thought how they talked about the Isaiah Thomas, how they talked about Horace Grant, and how now it's a day or two later, Horace Grant seems like he has some beef or really upset about Michael Jordan, how things turned out and how the documentary turned out. It was really one sided. It was more in the view of Jordan. So obviously that was probably one way to get him to do the documentary, was to kind of cater and do as much um, like kind of gave him creative control in that sense. And then same thing with Jordan. I don't know if you guys knew, they actually chose three different locations for the houses. That's probably why you noticed that the houses look different. And Jordan agreed that he didn't want to do it at his Florida house, so they kind of rented the houses or borrowed from some of the producers or the crew at using their house around Jordan's place. So then that way it wasn't inconveniencing Jordan. And it also worked out for this documentary that it kind of came in early because with the coronavirus and everything else, where most people are staying home, had nothing else to watch, no sports or anything. So it was highly rated, one of the highest rated documentary ever for the Netflix and ESPN. So that was very good for that sense. But now there's nothing else. So hopefully sports can pick up soon. It seems like everything's starting to get open again. So it was probably help with that gap and the timing. I think what could have happened, or to help buy them some more time, instead of airing 2 episodes a week, which would have turned out 5 total weeks. They could maybe try spreading it out for 10 weeks if they thought it's going to take that long to get the coronavirus reopening up again. So that could help with the timing in that sense. And if they figured, okay, the NBA is going to start a month from now, then they could have sped up and added 2 episodes per week that way. But instead, they could start maybe 1 episode per week and gradually went up with the 2 weeks or 2 episodes. Then that way they would have the perfect timing with the NBA maybe potentially starting up again. Um, Again, I thought Jordan kind of played well with his PR also going into this. He was saying that I think a lot of people are going to look at him differently, like thinking him as a mean, not nice guy, a jerk, which most of it, I think because he already put that out there, didn't make him look as bad. So I was going into it thinking that he was going to look a lot worse because of the statement that he told everybody or put out in the media. So I think it kind of worked out and made him look better in that sense. There are some people that didn't look great. I thought Isaiah Thomas didn't look good in that sense because of how things turned out or how things went down. Who else? I thought Chicago Bulls Reinsdorf didn't look that great. I thought Jerry Krause, the way he handled things, I mean, you could see they tried setting him up as a villain in this sense, but at the same time, if you were bullying at this time, if this was a different era, I think if you heard about this, I don't know if the whole picking on Jerry Krause back then would be acceptable now, with the way the media and everything. And same thing how Rodman took off during the finals for WCW or gone to Vegas. Social media would have been all over it. Same with the media coverage. So things would have been a lot different. It would have been very interesting. I think with this particular Chicago Bulls, they would have been able to adapt and play very well. Probably would have beat LeBron. Would have stopped the Warriors, I think, because they would have been able to adapt and their defense is that great at the time. Also, if you think about Jordan in that 6 to 8 years period, stopped so many greats that did not win a championship, like Patrick Ewing could have won a championship. Reggie Miller could have won a championship. Charles Barkley could have won a championship. So if you think about it, there's so many of those players that were potential Hall of Famers. I believe you could name about 15 players at that time that was stopped that could have won a championship but never got to because they were in the wrong era. If they were in this era, they probably could have won a championship. Probably would have been harder for the big man like Patrick Ewing. So I think that's most of my thoughts. I thought it was a great, well done documentary overall. I thought, again, like Horace Grant said, it could have been a little one sided since Michael Jordan got to control the creative side and narrative and how they cater it towards them. But I mean, it made sense because they had to get the biggest star to try to agree to do it. But I thought the pizza thing, the pizza incident was kind of, they didn't even name the pizza place, so that was another questionable thing. Especially they said 5 guys showed up. So who's the 5 guys? You should have been able to go back. You would think Jordan Entourage would have like probably sued them, or like you would think there's some type of wrongful doing or something if that pizza joint actually. I mean, again, if there was social media back then, Yelp would probably been effective saying, "Hey, that's that place that got Jordan sick" or something. So that was one story I don't really possibly fully believe, but again, that's based on his story again. But it definitely didn't look like he was fully healthy or playing well in that sense going into the game. But I mean, he ended up playing very well for the flu game. Again, it was great to go back down to the memory lane. Again, go ahead and like, share, comment, and subscribe. What you thought of the documentary overall. Did you like it? What didn't you like about it? Again, I do appreciate your support, and thanks, and have a good day.